Hi, welcome to my channel Mostly Knitting. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, I'm Tash, and this is a weekly podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing during the week, and I also put out regular tutorials. So this is a special episode today. I'm in Brisbane, so a different location. I'm in Brisbane with my friend Beck. If you've been watching for a while, you've already met Beck. We've been friends for a long time. We're both, die-hard knitters and really good friends. So I'm up visiting Beck, and so we're just doing a podcast together today.
Yeah, so it's good fun to be here again. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, we do. So we're going to start with finished objects. I don't have any, but Beck does.
Okay, so the finished object is charisma. Getting ahead of myself there. This is the Martin Storey pattern that both Tash and I did. I finished, a couple of months back. Tash probably 6 months ago. So it was knit out of the recommended yarn, which is the Patina by Rowan, which is no longer available. It's quite an unusual yarn. I think Tash discussed that plenty in previous episodes. Basically followed the instructions, which is a very basic pattern, except I did do what Tash had suggested with short rows for the shoulder shaping. So it's knit flat front and back. It's a batwing type design. It's seamed down the sides and across the shoulders. Then you do the rib around the neck, the sleeves. Initially you just start at the hem, and that would be knit flat, but we didn't do that. It's a provisional cast on, then once it was all seamed together, picked up and did the hem in the round, half twisted red. So look, it was a bit tedious towards the end, as Tash had mentioned.
Yeah, a bit of a slog at the end.
But it's a great finished item for me. It works well. I'm bigger than Tash, so the ribbing around the hemline it's cinched in more, so it gives it a nicer silhouette than if it was loose, which I think is what Tash found.
Yeah, mine could probably be in a bit more.
Yeah. So I think, and it's got a gold fleck in it. The pink, all the Patina yarns did. And so my idea was this would be a really nice evening knitwear top, and I think it will do well in that conditions, but not in Brisbane for a long time yet. So that was my finished object.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think, like, when Beck tried it on earlier, very briefly, because it's very hot today, it looked great and it looked really elegant, but I thought it needs to be dressed up. It's definitely a going out top.
Yeah, I can imagine it like with a satin skirt or something, or even the sparkly one I wore the other night. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think it'll get some wear, but I think it's very specific to the time of year. In this environment.
Yeah, because it's very lightweight. It only took Beck 4 balls of yarn, so it only weighs 100 grams, but it's...
Are they 25 grams?
Yeah, they're 25 gram balls. So it's not a heavy object, but just it's very warm.
Oh, yeah. It's got alpaca, so it's very warm.
Yeah.
Beautiful top. It's a hard yarn to knit with, but a good end result. I think we'd agree on that.
I like it. Very nice. All right, so we're up to our works in progress. I started last week. I only had 1 work in progress. Now I have 5. So it's been a lot of cast ons for me. The first one that I'll talk about, I actually don't have with me, so I'll just put a photo up of it, and it was the one that I was working on before, and that is the Stella quilt cushion. So I think last week I had finished the actual main design, and I think I had just picked up the stitches, but hadn't done this is for the backing, hadn't done a lot of it. I've almost finished that. I haven't done the envelope closure, but I've got like about this much of that doesn't, there's no scale, that means nothing, but I don't have much of it. I've certainly done all of the first half of the diagonal, and I'm almost closing the corner. So the envelope closure will take a little bit of a while, but looks like pretty simple knitting, just like it's been pretty simple for ages, and it is a lot more involved when you're doing the front and you're changing colours and you're cutting yarn and you're picking up stitches, whereas the back was just pick them all up, do the diagonal out and then in, and it's almost done. So
how much yarn is in that back section?
So the front weighed about I think 168 grams or maybe 186. I don't know. I have those numbers in my head and I think the back, because the back is the same size, I think it's going to be about the same. It will take most of the 2 balls.
Right.
So And I'm not sure, I will, for the envelope closure, if I don't have enough of I should say the yarn is Pearl Soho Linen Quill, the main colour is Pale Oats, and the rest of the colours are on my Ravelry project page, which is in you can get to in the description. I think the envelope closure is actually going to take a fair bit of yarn, because I think somebody mentioned that it needs to work properly, needs to be at least 5 inches of, like it's a fair way down. But I think I might stripe in, because it's going to be on the back.
Yeah.
I might sort of just do like some stripes of I've got 8 colours for the front. So like I'll do maybe 2 stripes of the pale oats, 1 of the other colour, something, just to buy myself a little bit more yarn, because I do need, I need to use some of it for Heimathafen, or I need to save a bit for that anyway. So
good idea.
So that one will actually, even though it's a huge amount of knitting, I had a lot of car knitting time driving up to Swansea and back with my mum, and so yes, I think I might be finished pretty soon. So yeah, no finished objects this week for me, but hopefully that one will be done soon.
You'll have all at the same time.
Yeah, yes, that seems, like last week I think I had 5 finished objects. So yeah. Okay, so your next work in progress.
Okay, so
yeah, definitely.
all right.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so the next work in progress, the big one, is my storm sweater, which I think in the previous episode we did together, I had tried on Tash's storm sweater just to see what the sizing would be like. Tash was the extra small, the smallest size.
Whatever the extra small, maybe even, yeah.
And it was plenty big enough on me. So I had in mind just to do that. But the yarn that I ended up picking, which is the Hedgehog Fibres Tweedy, is actually a thinner yarn. So when I did the gauge swatch, I decided to go up to the 3rd size. And on trying this on, it's fairly similar to what Tash ended up with. So it worked out.
It's a really pretty yarn.
It's a beautiful yarn.
It's got these lovely recycled flex.
Yeah, so if you don't know much about it, it's basically all their waste yarn that they collect, and then they do what they do and put it into this. I think there is different colours. This is the original, I think, the light grey with all the different colours, and there's also metallic thread in there. There's everything, so it blooms magnificently, this yarn. One sleeve has been blocked, the other hasn't, and I'm not sure if you'll see it, just the difference that blocking does, but it just elevates it. Yeah, the front is the blocked, back is not.
The whole way.
Yeah. And just the blocking just makes it all seem so
blocking
cohesive.
Does wonders.
It's beautiful, and it's soft. I think it's soft. And it fits really well, really happy with it. I would put it on, but it's too hot, and maybe I'll send down a photo to Tash.
Yeah, we'll get some finished object, and when it's done, I'll definitely put up.
And for interest's sake, I'll get my 13-year-old daughter to try it on too, and then people can just see that it's, if mum and daughter share a jumper, it'll work really well. She wants me to do her a white one next, but we'll see how we go with that.
White for a 13-year-old.
But the only things I did differently was, because I had 5 balls of this, I was a little bit concerned about running out. So what I did is I tapered down the sleeves at a faster rate than the pattern, just to save a bit of yarn in those sleeves, which I think's worked out to be the right move, as I have 1 ball left to do the rest, and we calculated it's about 2 grams per round, or just under, and with a full skein, and I had full skein a little bit more, I'll get in all the remainder rows plus the 6 inches of ribbing at the base. It'll probably be not a long jumper, it'll be a cropped-ish kind of.
Have you measured across to see what it's measuring at the moment?
No, I haven't.
That's right, we'll put it down below. Yeah. We'll measure it and I'll put it down below.
Plenty of room on me. I must have at least 6-8 inches, I'd say, on me when I put it on. Yeah. So really happy, excited to have this one done, and now I kind of got a bit stalled at the sleeves, and then started doing some other things. I should have had it finished by now, but anyway, it's coming along, and it's hot.
You don't need it right
summer,
now,
so what does it matter?
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. All right.
And just to mention, with the storm sweater, you can now see is that with all the ribbing, I elected to do a half twisted rib, just because that's how I prefer the look of my knitting. My knitting seems to be a bit messy in just the standard 1x1 normal rib.
I think it's really feminine as well. I really like twisted rib.
Yeah, I think it's just it does. It just gives that polish. Well, for me, it's a much more polished look with my knitting, so that's what I prefer.
That's giving me a thought for my Monday sweater. So, but anyway, that's coming later. Right, so my next finished object, I've got it just around, not finished object, my next work in progress, I've got it around me. This is Heimathafen by Isabell Kraemer, and I'm knitting this out of Pearl Soho linen quill, same that I'm doing for my Stella quilt cushion. This colour is kettle black and this one's pale oats. Now, I'll take it off in a sec, but I'm actually at the point where I'm about to split for the underarms. This yarn, I did a swatch and I got a gauge of 26 stitches up with my wash swatch, and the pattern gauge was 24 stitches, so I thought, I might need to go up a size, but I noticed that the neckline was pretty big, so I thought, no, I'm going to cast on for the 34 inch, which is the smallest size, just to have it a bit higher up here, and then if I need to, if I need to do more raglan increases or whatever, or cast on more stitches under the arms, I'll have a better idea with fit by being able to try it on rather than sort of trying to figure out beforehand. So I got up to where I was meant to, for the 34 inch size, was meant to actually split it off, and it was the arm side wasn't long enough, so I've just got it on a really long needle, and I've got these markers because you do some raglan increases. This here is, I've actually added the extra 6 rows now. This is 6 extra rows, so it was way up here. It definitely wasn't long enough. So then I blocked it, and it still wasn't long enough, but after blocking it I measured my gauge, and instead of 26 stitches it was 23. So with just the larger fabric, and maybe the swatch I did wasn't quite big enough, anyway, clearly the 34 inch is going to be fine, and I might even just cast on a few less stitches under the arms instead of more. So what I did was I did 3 extra raglan increases, and that's really easy. If you ever need a longer arm side, you can just do more raglan increases and then cast on less stitches under the arms. So if you do 1 extra raglan increase, that's 2 stitches for the body, 2 stitches for the sleeves, then you just cast on 2 less stitches under the arms for every one. So I think for my size, without giving, this is a whole detailed pattern, for my size, I would have cast on 19 stitches under the arms. But now I've got 6, because I did 6 extra rows, I've got 6 extra stitches, so then I would cast on 13, but I think my gauge is bigger now instead of smaller, so I think I'm going to cast on 9 stitches. That should finish me up at a 34 inch bust, which is 2 inches of positive ease, and thankfully there were a lot of cast on stitches under the arms for this size, so I had a lot to play with. 19 inch stitches is a lot. I don't think I've ever
heard of that.
But I guess it's a 24 stitch gauge, so what's that? 19 stitches, that's about 3 inches. 3 inches. So, but even that's quite a lot under the arms. Anyway, the pattern's coming along really nicely. I mentioned in a previous podcast that this was there was dip stitches and ferrule. There's no ferrule. It's dip stitches create, which is just a technique which I won't get into because there's that's really the pattern, and there is a link to a video tutorial that you get from the pattern. So it's not a public one, it's a private one. So, which is what you're really purchasing the pattern for. You get the details on this dip stitch. It's really good. I'll show you what it looks like. And apart from these, so you do a dip stitch in the white and one in the black, and that creates this line here and this line here. And other than that, you're only ever knitting with one needle, one colour at a time. So I'm knitting this on, I think, 1 needle size up. I did the cast on a 3mm needle, which is what the pattern recommends, but the body was meant to be a 3.25. I really want this to be quite light and drapey, so I chose a 3.5mm needle. Maybe I would have got gauge with the 3.25, but it doesn't matter. It's top down. I can just try it on and work it out as I go. And I think it's going to be it's going to work out really well. So I really love that black and white. It looks great.
I made my daughter when Linen Quill first came out, I was flying to the States, and I was at the Pearl Soho shop, and I bought some and knit her a jumper, and it was really nice. It's light, it's warm, it's airy, it's great.
And I don't have a 4-ply sweater, like a fingering weight sweater without mohair, right? Just a really light sweater with a bit of positive ease. I've got a lot of 4-ply sweaters, but they're either no ease or maybe 2 inches of negative ease, so I think that one is going to be really nice. I'm really happy with that.
And I think it'll look really smart too.
Yeah, and it's fun. And look, most of it is just in the black, right? There's actually only 4 rows every 32, I don't know, there's a really large amount of the black and then only a handful of rows of the white. So it's actually really easy knitting. It's mostly stockinette, but with a really lovely result.
Yeah. So the next item that is on my needles is actually technically on my daughter's needles, but I think I've inherited it now. So this is for my little girl. She wanted to do a knitting pattern that interested her, with some yarn that interested her. I'll start with the yarn because that's what kind of made it all happen. I bought this hobby yarn probably about 2 years ago to make a all over brioche,
like fisherman's rib fisherman's
rib cardigan. It was beautiful, but I started it and had a real tough time of it, so I frogged it and the yarn's been sitting there, so she's seen that. So this is their it's a beautiful yarn, really nice and soft. It's their Friends Extra Fine Merino Superwash yarn in the colorway. This colorway is 63, and for this particular yarn, it's 50 gram balls. It's 165 meters, and it was very inexpensive. From memory, it was like $5 or $6 a ball, and there was quite a bit of yarn in this particular twisted half fisherman's rib jumper. And then to go with that was this this super kid silk. It's Mayflower, and it's sold through the hobby yarns store, online yarn store. So that was a matching colour. So she wanted to make a hat, and it was to do with her school project, something she could teach the class, and it was probably a little bit...
Teach the class?
Yeah, it was... Yeah,
She's 8. She's 8.
Well, I kind of maybe pushed her down the line of maybe we should show them knitting, because I thought I could help her with that. But she wants to learn to knit. This was a bit much, though. It's because it's 2 knit, 2 purl. I thought maybe that might have been okay, but... She was really good on the pearls and then was having trouble with the knits. So,
interesting.
Interesting. I thought it would be the other way around too. But anyway, little darling, she's done most of that.
How good is that? 8-year-old is like, especially because ribbing is hard as a start because you have to keep moving.
A lot of start and stopping in this.
Yeah.
But she did do a lot, so I'm probably just going to finish it off for her, just so she can feel like she's had some input and finished something, and then she might carry on again. I think what happened was there was a gap in between knitting. She came back to it. She was struggling, so she ended up knitting my Birds of a Feather shawl while I would do this with her, because that was a constant knit stitch. But anyway. So it'll be the Petite Ned Oslo hat.
Hipster hat.
Sorry, hipster hat. There's too many hats for me to remember. Which is, Tash will probably put the picture up on.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see what I'm referring to. Not doing anything differently, just standard everything with the pattern. I've not knit this before, so it's all new to me. But yeah, again, this will be finished when it's finished. No rush.
Do you remember how many stitches cast on?
We just did the smallest one. So the cast on for this hat is 96 stitches.
Looks like a tubular cast on.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah.
I did that bit, obviously. She wasn't up to a tubular. I just thought, since she was going to be putting in a big effort, I'd get that done so that the end result would look so much nicer for her to enjoy.
Really nice.
She loves her knitted things, so she'll wear that.
That's beautiful colour. And 2x2 so stretchy, like it'll fit her for ages.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, this is the adults pattern.
Yeah.
It's small, so I figured
small.
This will get her through. And she wears a lot of the other hats that I made for me now, so she'll be fine.
But like by that age, the rise might be a little bit different, but the head circumference is probably pretty similar.
Yeah.
So
that's what's happening there.
So my next new work in progress is the Essential Beanie by Andrea Gaughan, and I'm knitting that out of Madeline Tosh 80-10-10 DK in the colourway Kenobi. It's this really pretty sort of grey.
Browny grey.
Yeah, it's really lovely. So I did do, for the first time actually, I did a Judy's Magic cast on for a 2x2 cast on. A viewer had suggested that I could do that for this, and I actually really like it. I'm going to show that close because I think that looks really nice. I really, really like it. I did it one size up, so I used, I'm knitting this on a 3.75mm needle, but I did the cast on a 4mm needle, did the first row, and then I switched to the 3.75mm needle when I started knitting off the 2 needles. And it's pretty straightforward. You actually just knit one stitch from the front needle, then 2 purls from the back, then 2 knits from the front, 2 purls from the back, all the way to the end where you finish with a knit. So you do start in between 2 knits, but you can easily just, if your pattern needs to start with 2 knits, you can just move the beginning of round marker to the 1 stitch before. I will do a video of that. I have a video on using Judy's Magic Cast On for a 1x1 rib, but I'll do one for a 2x2 as well, just in case that's helpful, because I do know a lot of people find that a little bit more challenging, a tubular cast on for a 2x2 rib. So yep, that one's, I think it's up to about 6 inches now. I will go to 8.5 inches, and then I'll start the decreases. The Essential Beanie is basically the same decrease, well, it is the same decreases as 2x2 by Anne Gagnon. So if you're comfortable with what stitch number you need to cast on, and you don't really want to buy a pattern, you can just, the same thing, you could just buy 2x2. The other thing actually that's quite interesting, I'm going to hold this up a little bit. It looks all pretty much the same all the way throughout, but Beck and I went to the doctor's, and Beck didn't bring her knitting, and then we had about a half-hour wait at the doctor's. So Beck, somewhere in here, knit about half an hour worth of stitches, and it doesn't look any different anywhere there, so we must have pretty similar gauge.
Yeah, we really are soul sisters.
Yeah, we're knitting twins. Yes, we have the same kind of tension.
Yes.
So I don't even know, we probably knit quite differently, but our tension seems to be about there.
I think you showed me how you knit, and the quicker way to knit, and that's how I knit now. But I still think you hold your needles differently.
Yeah, because you don't mind the small circumference knitting, whereas I struggle with it a bit.
That's right. I think I manipulate the yarn the same way, but we hold it differently. Yeah. Okay, so on to the next works in progress for me. You've seen this before. This is the Birds of the Feather shawl by Andrea Mowry. I think the last time we were podcasting it was referencing a G-string type look, because it was just
it's a very big G-string
bottom sections, but it's now it's got a bit of body to it. I'm now at the point where I'm decreasing on one side and still doing the increases on the other, so it is getting closer to the end. This is a lovely shawl design, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. And the 2 yarns that I'm using were purchased at, not last year, but the year before, trip down to Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show. And they are Cola Girl Collectives in the black. And that is her plateau fingering base. It's superwash merino, silk and yak. And it's beautiful. Oh, right. Beautiful. It's a beautiful yarn. Gives it a real kind of shine to it. And the this fluff is Ziggo. Oh, sorry.
No, I got it.
Ziggo Zago's. I don't know what the actual name of it is, but what it is 42% baby alpaca, merino, yak, and silk. So it's a real blend. So anyway, so together they're pretty close, except for obviously.
And they're both so soft, so it's going to be a beautiful shawl.
So that's what my little girl was knitting on when I was trying to do her hat. There was a few extra rows I had to go back and just fix up. But at least on this she could get some knit stitch practice. So anyway, so again, this is another, it'll be done when it's done. And beautiful. It's a lot of fun. Thank you.
So my next work in progress is the Florence bag by Petite Knit, and I've made some really good progress on that. I am knitting this out of Sanders Garden Tin Lena. I can't remember the colourway, but I'll put it. It's on my project page. It's a very neutral toned colour, but with a bit of a sort of a pinky beige, and it is literally a simple 2-row. Like you do a bit of stockinette and a 2-row repeat, which I think I have about maybe 10 more rows to go, or maybe a bit more, not a lot more, and then I'll start the decreases. Now, I'm knitting it with the Tin Lena 3 strands held together, and I actually have 3 balls, so it's pretty easy. When I had a look at other people's project pages, they use about 1.5, sort of maybe a bit more, a bit less, depending. So I will have about 1.5 left, which I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'll make a matching smaller bag or one of the purses or something. But I have ordered the zipper from the zipper and the strap from Petite Knit. I'm not sure that I would order it for every bag, but I would like to at least see and actually feel in my hands the zipper and the strap, so that then if I make another one, I would source something similar, but at least I know like the quality and I can try and match it. Whereas otherwise, I'm just guessing looking at the website.
It'll be interesting when you have them to go to somewhere like Spotlight, like the big chain stores, and see if there's something comparable. That they
exactly.
carry.
Like, is it a metal zip or is it, is it a plastic? Is it just what the quality and the weight and the hand of it is? In that order, I also got a zipper for the zipper sweater light. I think that's what I'm going to make, and same kind of thing. I might make more than one of those, but I'll probably just purchase just the one, because it's kind of, the shipping is a bit expensive, and like a zip is I'm thinking a zip is a zip, right? Why can't I just get that from the shop? But I would at least like to see what.
I like the what do you call it? The bit that you hold on to, that you
toggle.
I like
it's
the
a little
toggle.
bit different.
Yeah, it looks like it's metal. It looks like it's a more sturdier type.
And I think that's why I want to at least have one version of what she sells, so I can see what it is, and if I can source something locally for future. I haven't even made the first one, and I'm already talking about future ones. But anyway, I didn't buy the lining because I figure I can probably sew that myself. But this is actually a little bit hard on my hands because it's, a cotton blend. So what actually I am finding easier is the pattern says to use a 40 centimetre needle, which I think you really do need for casting on. Just because it's hard to use a larger needle for the cast on. But at this point, I've got it now on a 60 centimetre needle, which is 24 inches, and that's totally fine. So if you're knitting this, or you plan to knit it, and you're finding a 40 centimetre, just a bit, you've got a lot of stitches jammed on the needles, it's definitely easier now. I've got it on the 60 centimetre. And it feels really lovely and squishy. Like, as I'm knitting this, I'm thinking I really would like a sweater in either tin liner held double or liner. And actually, the other thing that I think I would like to do is, because I would like to do a swatch with what I have left. I will do a swatch in the tin liner held double, just to see what I think. Is it very different to the liner? Because I've made some. I made the Thea top out of the liner. Yeah. Because I know weight wise it is the same, but holding two strands and just holding them alongside versus them being actually spun in together is a little bit different. So, Anyway, that's coming along nicely.
And my next work in progress is from this book, Charming Colourwork Socks by Charlotte Stone. I saw this lady being interviewed on
Fruity
Knitting a couple of times now, and she's actually just put out a second Colourwork Socks book. This is the first, and my girls had a look through it and picked out their socks. And
is that window shopping?
Yes, it is. And my little one Lauren, she decided that she would like the Gelato socks. And bearing in mind, I have you could probably see one down here, like about 4 tubs of minis. I figured that was probably a good thing to start using it up. So I picked some colours out, and out of my various little stashes, and came up with, it's a big mess in here now, but these are the colours that I'm using.
They are so pretty.
They're obviously, they scream. They scream ice cream to me.
Yes,
scream ice cream.
Yes.
And geez, I was going so well, and following the advice out of the book about the floats, and really that if you can not catch floats in socks, that's the way to go, because then you don't risk having tight floats and therefore causing issues with fit. So my little girl had gone away. I'd really got through a fair bit of the sock. I was down to the foot. And it was looking excellent.
You were that far.
Yeah, I was that far. And she came home and she saw the sock, and we're both excited, and put it on some little cords, and then she tried to pull it on a foot, and of course it wouldn't go over her ankle. And what had happened was there was a section in the colourwork, I can just show you the picture, that has on here, it's the smallest section of the white between the ice cream at the top.
So you have a really long stretch
of white. So you have the longest stretch of white there, and that was where it was tight. Everything else was looking pretty good. So had to pull it all out. That's okay. I knew that there'd be some learning involved in this, because I have done a few, I have done some colourwork socks, but just a very small couple of rows of colourwork within the socks, so nothing really that would...
with such a long float, or...
Yeah, but just like a tiny section not the whole length of the leg of the sock. So, yeah. Anyway, so what I did, so I pulled it all out, and then I had also bought this book recently. This is by Summerlee Knits. This is her sock book. And I did watch a few of her podcasts when she first started, so I knew she was out there. Anyway, I was just lucky that I came across, and I'll get the episode number just in case anyone else would be interested. And she talked about floats in her pattern designs and how she deals with them. And again, she was suggesting that I think she said at least 1.5 inches, whereas
before you would catch her.
Before you would, and Charlotte Stone basically said never. And that what they had said is that they never catch the floats, which I would have thought you would for sure with toes. But superwash yarn, I wouldn't have thought would have felt it, but they seem to think that the yarn does.
It's just on your foot.
Yeah, it's just, it does...
Like mat down a little bit.
Yeah, and so prevents that from really ever being an issue. So we'll see how we go. But anyway, in this episode, she talked about that, and she talked about how she dealt with those issues. So again, try not to catch the floats. She also suggested that a big help for her was to utilise shorty circular needles. I had not gone up a needle size in the colour work on the previous attempt, so I followed the pattern, and I didn't have small circulars in the size that it was requiring, so I did it on double pointed needles, which got through it, but it was a bit messy. But Summer Lee had said that she feels that that's where people can go wrong with floats in colourwork socks, is that space between where the two needles, you will think you have left enough of the yarn to create a long float, but in actual fact, on that bend, that corner, you've got more space there than you realise. And I think that's probably what happened, particularly with that one long float that was in that section. So I went up a needle size. I decided to do that as well.
So is that a 2.5 millimetre?
Can you read that? Because I'll put my glasses on.
That'll be interesting, yeah.
Test your eyes that out. Might even be 2.75.
2.75, yep.
Yeah, 2.75. But it's on these small circular, so I'm going to give it another go, and I'm going to do what I thought I did last time and just see if it's within the actual style of the tools that I choose to use, if that's going to make the difference. Plus then upper needle size.
Yeah.
So look, it's pretty quick, and it's so satisfying. Like these little,
and the colours you chose are just so
they are
gorgeous.
Just ice cream parlour
so
shop.
Pretty.
So fun and games, and I really recommend these two ladies. Both obviously really talented designers and knitters and know what they're talking about, and lots of fun to be had and lots of minis to be used.
Yes. So I actually have 2 more works in progress, but they are both going to get ripped out. But before I rip them out, I thought I'd show you. I started the Monday sweater by Petite Knit, and this was the yarn that I'm going to make it with, which is, where is it? Oh yes, please, thanks. So this is Jagger Spun Heather in the colourway Blackberry, and this is Rowan Kid Silk Haze in the colourway Black Currant. So I bought the Monday sweater Junior because that the chest circumference for that goes up to 40.5 inches. So I thought that's going to work, and I'll either make that or I'd make one of the smaller sizes, just depending on whether I'm on gauge or not. And I think this gauge is a little bit tighter. The Monday sweater, the pattern gauge is 21 stitches. Here I'm getting 23, but like with the Heimathafen, maybe that will change. So basically it's the Monday sweater is a raglan sweater with a fold over collar. I think it's pretty much, now I have both patterns and I'm going to do a comparison of the two. I'm guessing that they're pretty much the same pattern, but the Monday sweater just has a fold over collar. Because other than that, they both have short rows and they both have raglan increases. I'll report back next week because I will do a proper comparison of the two. But I did a provisional, because it's a fold over collar, I did a provisional cast on, and I chose to cast on 90 stitches, which is the largest of the junior, the largest size of the junior pattern. But basically all of those sizes just differ by a cast on of 2. So, and because I'm not really sure what my gauge will end up, the cast on size determines how high it is going to sit up on your neck. And then after that, in terms of size, you can just do more or less raglan increases or more or less casting on stitches under the arms, and then once you've got, like, by the time that happens, you've got a huge amount of knitting that you can block and have a much more accurate gauge than this, what's that, like a 4, not even 4, it's certainly, maybe that's 5 inches wide and maybe 4 inches tall. So that's still not a bad swatch. I wouldn't really want to knit that. And to be honest, for me, for swatches, it's just a ballpark gauge. And also, do I like the fabric on that? Yeah. Do I like the fabric with that size needle? Do I like these two, especially if I'm working with 2 different yarns, do I like them together? Like, I have knit 2 yarns together thinking they would pair really nicely, and they actually haven't gone well at all. So I do really like that. I think that's really beautiful. So I'm definitely going to use this yarn. Why am I going to rip it out? So I cast on the 90 stitches. I've done about not quite half, but I just feel like it's kind of untidy. Yeah, maybe show it. It's kind of untidy. That's the outside. Even the inside is a little bit meh. So it's okay. But like, that's the bit that you really see. And I'm looking at Beck's Storm Sweater with that lovely twisted rib. And I think for my no frills, I actually did a twisted rib. So, and I think this is basically the no frills with a folded collar. So, and then that's a folded collar and twisted rib, which looks beautiful. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rip this out and I'm going to restart and I'll still do the crochet provisional cast on, but I'll do a twisted rib. So, I mean, I've done like 8 or 9 rows, not very much. And I'd rather get an outcome that I'm really happy with. So that is a whip which will be undone. The other whip that's going to be undone was I got this yarn. This is Woolfolk Luft. And I got 2 balls of this when I ordered the Amelie yarn for Robinia. And I thought I'll just try Joji's A Twisted Affair pattern using the recommended yarn. And I thought, oh, this is a 2x2 rib hat. I will do the 2x2 Judy's Magic cast on for a 2x2 cast on. And this is on a 5mm needle. So I did Judy's Magic cast on 1 size up on a 5.5. Now, I don't know if it's just this yarn or maybe I shouldn't have gone up a needle size, but I just I don't rate how that looks. I think that's quite messy and untidy. So I think I'm just going to rip it out and just use a long tail cast on, but I will do 1 row flat and then join in the round so that I get the smooth edge of the cast on, similar to what I did for the green 2x2 hat by Anne Gagnon. So, like, a tubular rib sometimes looks nice, but I guess it just depends. It depends on the yarn. I remember when I made the Fiola sweater by Isabell Kraemer, and I did the neckline, and it was a 1x1 rib, and I did a tubular bind off, and I just didn't love it. Like, I don't know, sometimes maybe just for some yarns it really suits, and for some yarns it doesn't.
What I think's happening here is that the yarn, it's an expensive yarn, and it's kind of got a bit of a matted type texture, which to me screams more cheaper yarn, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I think because it's got this matted type effect, it doesn't show off the detail
point of the tubular.
Yes. So it just has this kind of matted edging look. So it doesn't show off the yarn in any way, and the stitches
look untidy,
not shown off in any way that's...
Yeah. So I'll show you this up nice and close. You can see what it looks like there. And yeah, pretty rubbish. So I will redo it and try a long tail cast on.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure, like, I don't know, I'll definitely get, with 2 balls of this, I'll have enough left over to just do a regular swatch, maybe for the kind of, like for a sweater or something, to see if I would even be interested in purchasing more of it for a sweater.
Is this what Mishi did, that green and... you know, the Envens?
Robinia? No, she used Robinia. One. No, she used that Illimani Amelie yarn,
okay.
Which is the yarn that I purchased. So yeah, people seem to really like this yarn, but I don't know, jury's out. I definitely don't like it with a tubular cast on for a 2x2 rib. I'll see how I like it for a Twisted Affair. I can't even remember if I said that. I'm knitting a Twisted Affair by Joji Locatelli. So I will rip this out and just do, which is what Joji suggested, long tail cast on. But I will do 1 row flat, then I'll join it. And again, this isn't a lot of knitting. So, but I guess, yeah, so I had 6 works in progress, but I'm about to reduce 2, so I'll be down to 4. So
it's plenty.
yeah, that's enough for now.
Yes.
So we're up to acquisitions and plans now, and I have 2 pattern acquisitions this week, and they are 2 hat patterns that were gifted to me by Stephanie, so thank you so much, Stephanie. One of them is From This Valley hat, and that is by Jenny Hansen, and that is a hat pattern that has 4 different weights of yarn and also sizes from baby to XL. So a really versatile pattern with a really lovely texture. So yeah, that one looks really lovely, so thank you for that. And the other one is the Brownstone Beanie by Tori Yu. And this is quite similar to the Manhattan hat. It has that same little sort of duckbill on the head, but it's a stockinette, and it's got a folded brim, but an actual fold where you actually join it, and stockinette, whereas the Manhattan hat is a 1x1 rib. So I've knit the Manhattan hat, but I haven't knit the Brownstone Beanie, and obviously stockinette is certainly a lot faster than 1x1 rib. But it has the same kind of design features, so I'm curious to try this one. The pattern is written so you can either hold 2 strands of fingering together and get a 20 stitch gauge, or 1 strand single and get a 25 stitch gauge. So that would obviously be a lighter weight hat, but with the same, so it is kind of like 2 patterns for one. I like that. So good. Yeah, same design, but written for two different weights of yarn, but you could use the same yarn just depending on how much you had, or you could marl it. You could use like 2 different. You could use mini skein. Oh, you have to be a pretty big mini skein, but it's a versatile hat pattern. So
good to have options.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so what we're on to next is acquisitions, and the first day that Tash arrived, we headed home via one of the local yarn stores in Brisbane, and that yarn store is called the Little Yarn Store at Taringa in Brisbane. This was a yarn store that was originally known as Yarn Glorious Yarn, and in 23 the new owner Stephanie bought the yarn store from the previous owner, and now runs that.
And I'd never been to it, even in its original state. Taringa's on the other side. Like, I lived in Brisbane for 9 years, but I lived on the south side, and Taringa's on the north side, isn't it? Yeah. So
yes,
I hadn't been there yet.
Yeah, it's kind of inner west, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, very close to the city. So it was a long-established bricks and mortar store, and the previous owner had decided to retire post-COVID, and I think Stephanie must have either been a very committed patron, or I don't know, she worked there as well, but she's bought the store now and that runs that. And on the day her folks they're from Canada were actually in the store giving Stephanie a break, so we spent a lot of time in there. It was a lot of great brands, which I'll get to in a moment, and Stephanie's parents were really
so
interesting and friendly, and we just
helpful.
Just had run of the shop, just looking at everything, pulling everything out.
It's a beautiful store. So much colour and gorgeous yarn, and I had fun.
We were extremely fortunate to get there. So anyway, what I'll do is I'll start with what I purchased. Now, as you can tell, my yarn stash is looking pretty healthy. I'm very, very lucky that I'm able to have this, and probably 2 months ago I did a yarn stash sort and catalogued everything on Ravelry, which was a great thing to do, and it really made me realise how much yarn I have. So I'm really committed to getting through a lot of what I have now without buying stuff, and I've really shown some huge restraint over the last month or two with what was the brand that I said that the Newton yarn. Like, I could have bought some of that, but no, I won't. Anyway, so this was my big purchase on the day, which I'm really happy to have, because I always trying to find needle gauge sizes. So this will be great. But I will let Tash run ahead with.
I got a little bit more souvenir yarn. There was so much to choose from. I think the first thing that really caught my eye was this spin cycle in the colourway Ghost Ranch, which I absolutely love. I mean, I just love those kind of navies and pinks, and so I thought I'd like to make that. Usually 1 skein is enough for a lot of sweaters with a colourwork yoke. So I made New Leaf by Jennifer Steingass a few years back, and I used just about half a skein of one of these, and I really liked it. So to go with it, I got this gorgeous La Bien-Aimée singles, and the colorway, I think it's, what is it? It's tiny writing parchment. So I thought I'll get that together.
Do we hold it?
Yeah, thank you. To make something like a New Leaf, a top, but with this as the as the colourwork design. Might be New Leaf, might be something else. Anything where I could just use the one skein, because it's pretty, like all of this is pretty pricey, but I wouldn't want to buy another one of those and just use like a handful of it. So beautiful. It is gorgeous. So I got that. I also so that's the more expensive side. On the more affordable side, I got this Isia Highland wool. Now I've used this yarn before for my field sweater, but I held it together with the Isia silk mohair. And I didn't really see a mohair that would pair nicely with this. So I just bought this. I bought 5 skeins of it. The yardage on this is colourway Rose. The yardage is, and see how it's got like a number of different sort of the heathered, and it's got a number of different shades in it, sort of a bit of brown. And so I bought 5 balls of it, which would be enough to either hold it single. And I mentioned that I didn't have a lot of just straight fingering weight sweaters that were a little bit more oversized. So I might just hold it single, or I might wait for, if I find a pattern that I like, or I might wait for a mohair that I see that might pair well with it. So anyway, that's the more sort of on the more affordable side. Now on the utilitarian side, this is just a few of them, but I've been doing more crochet, and they had a box of the crochet armor hooks from, I think it's from 2 mil to, Clover. Yeah. Thank you. Clover armor crochet hooks. And these are just a few of them. Just dropped one. And yeah, I thought I've been meaning to, and I could buy them online, but I just wanted to purchase them in a store and support the store. So, and I knew they had them at Handmade Create, but Alexandria is quite a hike from me. So, and if I happen to be, I thought next yarn shop I'm at, I'll purchase them from a yarn shop. So, happened to be the little yarn store. So there's a few of them.
They had a lot of good accessories there, didn't they?
They did, yeah, they really did. So I was very happy with that. And then on the back to the this is probably the super luxury yarn. This is my absolute treat. They had knitting for olive yarn, and they had the compatible cashmere, and I got 3 skeins of that. I really wasn't sure what I would do with it, so I had it, but I just wanted to try it. I thought I could do it as a carry along. So when I went to look up, but even as a carry along, so it's 25 grams, 150 meters, so it's not a huge amount of yardage. I'd need quite a lot for a carry along in a sweater, and this is not cheap. So when I looked up on Ravelry, as you do, you're at the yarn store and you're like, what would I make out of this? I saw someone had made a what's it called, the wrap top or bra by Naked Knit. And yeah, I just thought, I've been actually wanting to make either the Ripple bralette, I can't remember who it's by, I'll put it down below. Jessie Maid, maybe, yeah. Not necessarily to wear out, but to wear as like an undergarment, or I'd make it more like a tank if I was going to wear it out, or as an undergarment. I don't need a lot of support. I don't need really bras for support, more for modesty. And yeah, one of the first things I saw, I think it's probably the top project, was someone had knit a bra out of this. Now I know that might seem kind of crazy. I've never knit a bra. I've been knitting for a long time, and I've never knit a bra. Yeah, and I just thought, well, it would be really comfortable and really soft, and I'd get to try the yarn. Yeah. So I got 3 balls of that, and it's a total, like, kind of nutty, crazy purchase and project, but I just think it would feel so nice and soft and
comfortable.
Yeah, and I don't need it for support, but I do sometimes need something underneath as just a bit of a modesty piece, right? So I won't be showing this on the on the podcast.
How dare you?
Nor taking photos for Ravelry. I'm not quite that
just
bold.
On a hanger.
Yeah. But yes, I will show
maybe
it on
Alex,
a hanger.
Alex could probably pull it off.
She would happily.
She would look lovely.
She would happily model it for me. Yeah. But no, I think I'll just show it on a hanger. Yeah, that's a great idea. I can show it on. It won't be model photos. But yeah, that's. And it would be a quick knit. But the person who used this held it double, so it's not a lot of knitting. I just think it'd be really fun. Just fun to make. It'd be a good
experiment to see.
I'll be reporting back if anybody's interested in making one and has the same kind of thing for me. You don't need. I don't think this would hold enough support for someone.
I could never
have it.
It wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, but if you happen to be on the less endowed size and you don't need a bra for support, it might just be a nice fun project. Yeah, or you could do it for like your tween or something.
Well,
who's just starting to.
Like Sienna's age, 12, 13, when they're a little bit self-conscious about things.
But they were just like a little something to cover them for. Anyway. So that's my yarn purchases, but they do have a lot of other yarn.
Yes, so I was just going to let people know. So they sell a lot of spinning related accessories as well. So obviously they have Ashford there. I noticed they had drop spindles, fibre. I think they carry some of the larger equipment though. Don't quote me on that. But yes, so I'll just go through. So Bellissimo, Bishes and Bush. Bush. Blue Sky Fibres, Camerose, Circus Tonic Handmade, Derurum Natura, Fiddlesticks, Holzgarn, Isaiah. Knitting for Olive. They've got Krumke, Sol Wool, Labby and May. I think they said there's only 2 stores in Australia that carry Labby and May in Australia, and they're one. Life in the Long Grass, Madeline Tosh, Marjo Yarn.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
I've never heard of it. Nona, Outlaw Yarn, which is New Zealand. Rosa Pamar, Rowan, Shopel Wool, and Spin Cycle.
Yeah, so heaps of... And lots. The colours, like the yarn, it's a beautiful store.
You took a couple of photos.
Yeah, I did, yeah. I'll put some photos in, so yeah.
Yeah, so they... it's a wonderful little store in Brisbane. I feel quite fortunate. And then this afternoon on our way to the airport, we'll be stopping in at another yarn store that's close to the airport called the Yarn Bowl. So no doubt Tash will take some photos or images of anything she might buy.
I'm not sure, like... I'm sure I'll be tempted. I'm going to try not to purchase anything, but I'm sure, like, I'm not going to go to a yarn store and not buy a little something. So I'm sure I'll buy something. I might try the Snefnook. I think they have Snefnook there. Yeah, even though they had Snefnook at knitting at the little yarn store, I just thought, you've seen the 3 things that you're super excited about. Get those. I was a bit underwhelmed by the Snefnook. I just sort of, I don't know.
Yeah, I think things like that, I think you need to have a pattern in mind, maybe.
And even when I looked up hats, I was like, I think I could use it for a sweater. And even though I want to try it for a hat, I'm not sure I want a bulky hat like that. So, but you know what? I'll make one, and I'll just give it to someone if I'm like, it's not really for me, but somebody might like it. So anyway, but that's what we're doing this afternoon.
Yeah, that's it. So that'll be exciting.
So as for plans, I have cast on quite a few things recently, so I don't have any new plans. I do have to rip those 2 things back, the A Twisted Affair hat and the Monday sweater, rip them back and restart them. So that's my immediate plans, along with finishing up my whips.
So just before my future plans, I forgot to mention that was my birthday a little while ago, and when Tash came up, she bought me this awesome little twig and horn bag. So this is the second twig and horn bag that I've been lucky enough to get from Tash, so thank you again. So this is a cross body like bag on the smaller side, so it'd be really good for, well, it's great for just a bag, but possibly even some walking and knitting. Yeah, so I'll give that a go. We were going to do some walking this morning, but it's like 38 degrees outside, so we're not doing anything outside.
Which is like 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so we're not walking anywhere in that. No. We're
But
in air conditioning.
We're staying firmly in AC today.
And even in air conditioning, we could not, like, it's still warm even in here. Like, it's got to be at least mid-20s, so we're not trying on.
No, it's still hot.
Yes. And have you done your Rota? I just realised we haven't done your...
Oh, no, we haven't. Okay, I'll start with that.
Yeah, we're going to just do a little Friend from the Vault, and then we'll do plans.
This is the Rota top by Irene. I knit this at the start of last year, I think it was. It's knit in, and apologies, I'll pull up my notes, but it's knit in the same as your Peacock tee.
Cascade Ultra Pima.
That's correct. And it's... all up, I use 2.5 skeins of yarn, so it's just a bit under 250 grams. This top, basically you can do a crop version or a long version, and you're kind of restricted with the length because it's
You've got a repeat.
It's a repeat of a section. So I did the longer version, and I was kind of hoping that it would drop because it's cotton. I was hoping it was going to drop because that's what usually cotton does. And I have actually had this hanging in my wardrobe, and I don't hang anything, but I wanted to hang this to see if it'll get it to drop more. It tends to want to just go this way as much as this way, but it's come out beautifully. Just stand.
I think it's sitting at a really good length.
Yeah, so you can see, like, it's got a big split up the side. So I do wear like a cami underneath it. Well, you'd have to because of the holiness of it. But the stitch definition in this, this is the Cascade yarn, the Ultra Pima. I love this colour. This is actually the colour of my wedding dress. Yeah. It did not hurt my hands. I don't know what you felt about it when you were knitting it up.
Neither.
I just thought it was like wool to me. It was really easy on the hands. It's come up fantastic. I would definitely buy this again to knit more tops out of. Being a inexperienced summer top knitter, I was confused with a DK weight yarn in cotton. Like how would you make? But it works.
And because you've got it's open.
Yeah, it's open. I would never not buy this again because it's DK. I'd like to buy. Do they have 4-ply? I suppose they would in this as well. The Ultra Kraemer.
No, I'll look it up.
Anyway, great stuff. Happy with it. Happy with the design.
And you've got all your notes in your journal.
I do. Oh, and I've lost it. There it is. Oh, yes. And so what I had planned to do is become a lot better at note taking. I don't use Ravelry. I bought this little book. So I decided that this was how I was going to catalogue my knits. So I bought this little machine thinking this was excellent. It actually takes the, you can send photos off your phone to this little printer and it'll print out little sticky photos and then you can stick it in the book. That's the first and only one I've done, but I do intend to take a better catalogue of my knitting throughout the year. I think, I follow the pattern, but I did do a bit extra, as I said, the long version, and just for information, it hasn't really dropped that much, so you can hang this one up. I think too, it's good to know what you can hang up, because I often find that with my summer tops that I do have, if I fold them up, you go to wear them, they're terrible.
Got this big crease in them.
Yeah, this hangs well. It doesn't affect it negatively, but it looks nice when you put it on, so you can hang this up. You probably do that with your peacock tee.
I haven't worn it yet. At the moment it's folded, but I've got one of those little steamers.
Oh, have you?
And so, and that's super quick. And I just have like a piece of cotton gauze, just to protect the knitting. And I just lay the cotton gauze over it, and then I just run the steamer over it. Well, no, I saw them at Skein Sisters. They were using one, and I was like, "What is that?" So yeah, I'll put a link to what it is down below. It's just like a little cambric.
Yes, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it just sort of. I mean, it's probably just like I could just get the iron out, but it just seems a little easier because it's just this one thing and it heats up really quickly. And anyway,
there you go. Yeah. So we were talking about plants.
So I mean plants, yes.
Plants, yes. So when I was an inexperienced knitter, I bought this online. It's the Tinlina Sanders Gun.
Same that I'm knitting the Florence bag out of.
Yep. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I bought 2 balls thinking I could make a top. Anyway, funnily enough, I couldn't. But this bag, I thought I saw Tash making it. I thought, that'd be perfect to make these. And then
it does use less than two skeins.
But I read it was held triple, and I was like, oh, well, how's that going to work? I mean, I could wind off, sure, all that stuff. But actually, on their website, on the Petite website, if you go in, there's actually a video on how to knit with 3 strands of yarn from the same ball.
Which to me is very confusing, so I think you have to watch the video. Otherwise,
but basically, it's like chain plying when you're spinning.
When
you're plying the yarn. So basically, what you do is you
wrap it on itself.
Yeah. So you pull out a long piece and triple it. So you're holding the 3, and then you knit, and then you get to the end. And what you do is before you get right to the end, you pull a heap out, and then you pull it back through like chain plying, and then you go again. And so you will get that small bit where it crosses over, but in that pattern particularly, you're never going to see that.
Yes, you wouldn't want to do that in a garment, but because you would see it like
depending on the type of stitch
pattern, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, if it's flat stockinette, you would never do it, but if it was a almost like a meshy style, I think it would be fine. Like that
for that kind of pattern.
Yeah, but anyway,
not gonna notice it.
Go check it out because I found it really interesting, and so. Obviously easy.
There will be an experiment happening. And I love this colour. Like I just think,
it's like a real
I've made a
colour.
note of this colour. I think this is what I need to do a little bit more in future to just slow me down on acquisitions, is to go just have a notebook for like when I want to buy yarn, but I'm not sure what I want to knit with it, but I know I want it to be a top. Then I just wait and go, there's the pattern and that was the yarn, because I'll forget otherwise. So if I have like a list of, and I've done this before and it's actually worked really well and it has slowed my purchasing down or just stopped me from being like, oh, that's so pretty, and buying it straight away. then it's like, no, this is a commercial yarn. It is, or unless the colour gets discontinued, it's going to be available next month and the month later. And even if it's on sale, there's always more sales. So that's why I thought, well, let me just write down. So I'm just going to tell you this number. This is 2553, and it's this really gorgeous sort of goldy brown. Oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah, it's a good
which
colour.
would be great for a bag too.
It's good for a bag because it'll hide the dirt, and I think well, they are neutral. That's a colour, but it's a neutral.
Yeah.
So I'll go with lots of things.
Gorgeous.
So and I had a look at the. I think that's why I found the video. I was looking at the accessories, like the leather straps that goes with that. I'm just going to go to a Leatherman, wherever that could be, probably via Etsy, and I'm just going to order some straps through him, and then I'll just get a zipper and whatnot through Spotlight or something. Yep. So that's how I manage that one. And the next plan is I was very generously given a pattern by Tash, the Stromboli by Caitlin Hunter, and I really like the look of that. Wanting to get some more tops, tees for summer. We're in the thick of it up here now. So I'd been looking at what yarns I can utilise in the stash, and one of the yarns that I've had for a long time that I wanted to use was this skein of I've got three.
This is the merino silk sport, isn't it? This is skein.
Yeah,
it is, isn't it?
This is skein. So no, it's
is it not the merino silk?
No, this is Daintree.
Oh,
so
sorry.
this is 65% superwash merino, 20% bamboo, 15% silk. So it's 350 meters in 100 grams.
That's but it had the shine, so I was like, oh, is it the silk? Yes. But it has silk, but it's the Daintree yarn, which is a 4-ply. So the merino silk is a sport weight yarn. This one is Daintree, which is has the bamboo and the silk, and it's 4-ply.
Yeah, so you can see there's a bit of floppiness in it, so I think it's going to have great drape, which I think will work well with this design. I'll just hold it up so you can see it. So I think that will work quite well. I have actually a few skeins of skein yarn in stash. And another one I really thought would be lovely is her Posy, which is a different, I think that's the yak silk and merino. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, it's variegated, and I was a little bit concerned about, because it's such a heavy lace weight pattern, I didn't want it competing. Tash helped me pick this colour out of my stash. So
it's gorgeous.
I think it'll work.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
Yes, and I think it'll be great. So I'm looking forward to making that. And we saw last night, we got home from our big day out, which we'll talk about shortly, and Kristen had made a new podcast video. Yep. Yeah, so we watched that and really enjoyed seeing her podcasting again.
Skein Studio. I think it's called Skein Studio. I think it's her podcast.
I'll have a quick
look. And
look.
Skein Yarns is her. She's been going for about a decade. And she's in Coffs Harbour in New South Wales. And yeah, she just does fabulous, really interesting colours. She also designs. She also designs patterns. She designed the cruiser cardigan, which you've made it too, haven't you?
Yeah, I've made it.
Yeah,
actually,
you won the yarn for it, didn't you?
She generously
did a giveaway and
donated yarn for her pattern, and I won it. It's the only thing I've ever won.
And this was right. This was during time when Beck
was made
doing
redundant.
COVID, had been made redundant, and
it was sad.
Yeah, so it was just like this.
So it was lovely of her to do that, and Skein Studio podcast.
Yes.
So
and she sort of has podcast for quite a while, but then sort of has had some long breaks, but she's back to recording more regularly now, and she's doing a knit along too, actually, of summer tees or anything that has short sleeves or sleeveless or even vests and things. She's doing a knit along. So if you're not watching her, she also sews.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in sewing or in just beautiful yarn, I'd go check out her podcast.
She's actually knitting with some of her variegated yarn.
Oh, yeah.
She's come up with a method to get the variegations to not pull in a nasty looking way as they can do in a large circumference knitting. I think
it looked great.
It looked fantastic, and I hope that somehow she can explain it a bit more to me, like through a podcast maybe or something, because I'd like to do what she's doing, but I don't think I'm as comfortable with colour management as what she is. I mean, she's creative.
She's a dyer, so she knows where.
Yes, and she's really put some effort in to how she's doing it, and they look spectacular. I've never seen variegated knitted up so well as what she was showing. So good on her. Yes. So that was this. Oh, and then I've got one more that's been on my mind that I'll show you. Did you have anything?
No. Okay. I've gone from 1 work in progress to 6, so I've got.
Okay. So the next I would like to do is Velvet
Instant Crush.
Instant Crush by Joji. Locatelli. That pattern's been out for a good while, but Tash actually inspired me.
I got some yarn from Drops, so that was, like your more affordable, and I think, I can't remember where I was ordering from a yarn store, and I just thought, oh look, I want to try that. So I've got the yarn for it. This is one of the many, when I do my 2025, that's right, I am going to do a 2025 plans video at the end of January, so what I plan to knit for the end of the year, and I have just a huge list of patterns and patterns that I already have the yarn for. So maybe when I do that and I actually have it like in print and in video, that will just slow me down on buying anything else. So, but that is one of Instant Crush is on my list.
And I love the colours. She oh, that's right, because Freddie Knitting
she was wearing, Andrea was wearing one.
She made the exact same colours.
Yes, is it Magpie Fibres? I think it's Magpie Fibres. I'll look it up, and if it's something else, I'll write
it's beautiful. So I have had this yarn in my stash for years and years, and it's from Spotlight, so it's a cheaper yarn. These are the colours, which I
can't believe you've got basically the colours.
I know.
That's hilarious.
I got quite a few colours.
Oh, yeah.
I got a lot of this one. This was going to always be the base colour, and then other stuff was going to be the colour work. But what I realised is these are the colours. It might be slightly different, but pretty much
Very close.
Now, Abbey Road it's a chainette style of yarn. It's made up of 65% merino, 25% baby alpaca, and 10% microfiber
Just
poly.
from Spotlight, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much that is. I think it might be $8 or $9 a ball, but I got most of it
they
on
still
sale.
sell it?
Yeah, they do, because I was a bit short of those. I think I needed to buy another ball each, so I went and bought those. I still got it, and the colours look pretty much the same, I must admit, although they're obviously all different dialects because they were years apart, but they're pretty similar. So
and you're going to be doing it in colourwork anyway, so...
Yeah, so now the only thing is, obviously it's going to be interesting to see how the gauge works with this. It's all going to change, so I'm going to have to do some maths, which is where my good friend will pop in and help. But I just want to use what's in my stash, and I think this is all
going to be fantastic.
Pretty encouraging, and I'm really excited about using yarn that I don't have to skein up, like that I can just grab it and go. So, so if I can get that done, I'd like to start the Stromboli and this at the same time, and then just have 2 different things to kind of keep me interested, as well as all the other things I've still got to finish off. So that's what's coming up for me.
Right, so we'll just do a brief personal stuff. I flew up here on Tuesday morning and Beck picked me up. We've already talked. We went to the yarn store. We went out for dinner. That was really lovely. And then yesterday we went to Umundi Markets, which is about an hour and a half north of here.
An hour 40.
It's been going for decades, I think, but it's just gotten bigger and more sort of... It's open on Wednesdays and...
Saturday mornings.
Mornings, until like 2 o'clock, whatever. Yep. So there's some shops and there's some... food and it's your markets,
music. It's really it's kind of it's not a
craft and no, it's not really craft. It's clothes and
but it's kind of elevated. It's not $2 shop type markets.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
More pitched at local artisans selling their products and food and it's great. And but it was really hot and muggy. So we had a good couple of hours there still, checked out everything, bought a few nice things, and we were contemplating going for a swim afterwards, but we were definitely going for a swim.
It was so hot. So we went to Noosa.
Yeah, so Noosa's about a 20-25 minute drive from Umundi over to the Noosa headlands, and we were lucky. We found a great park. Noosa is a beautiful part of Australia, and it's always hectic. It's one of the few places in Australia where there's northern-facing beaches. So the beaches there are fantastic for swimming. So it's very popular with families. So it's always busy, no matter what time of year. There's also national parkland at one end, so it's beautiful walks along the
I love that bushwalk. That's
it's amazing. I've done it a few
beautiful.
times. We just didn't have time in the end yesterday, but
And it was too hot.
Yeah, and then on the other end, you've got the inlet to the Noosa River, and there's lots of sheltered swimming areas and whatnot around there.
And I used to camp as a kid. I used to camp there back when it was more like less gentrified. They had campgrounds there. They're long gone now, but I used to camp there and fish there with my dad and my brother. So I have really beautiful memories of Noosa. And I love the place. So I got married there too. So
yeah, that's right. So it's all good news. But yeah, we were lucky. We've had some really bad weather up in Queensland. We had a lot of rain, but we managed to get a day where it was beautiful, glorious weather, but hot. Unfortunately, there was a warm current, so we got in the water. It was beautiful, and then we proceeded to get stung.
But not like stung badly, but like sea lice.
Sea lice.
Yeah.
So I was like, something on my back, or something on my arm. But
actually, no, there's something all over us.
Yeah, something's happening.
Getting bitten a bit.
And everyone was saying the same thing. But it wasn't terrible. I mean, you just got in, had a swim. You couldn't really stay in for long. We would have stayed in for a lot longer otherwise. But it was fine. You get out. There's freshwater showers everywhere. So you can have a shower and you're fine again. And then we sat there and we knit
for a while.
It was great.
It was lovely. And then came home and ate and watched podcasts and. Yeah, so and my time's almost up now. We're off to going today. So, but we wanted to record. We don't get to do this very often, and we both love our knitting, and we both love being able to share it. So, and we share it with each other, share it together, share it with you, and then so I will. I don't know that if I'll get any footage from the yarn bowl, but I'll at least put in some photos. And if I happen to purchase anything, I'll put in a photo of what I've bought, and I'll try and get this edited and have it out soon because I'm heading off tonight. Although I did get a warning that maybe there's, because it's very, very hot today, there might be a storm. So hopefully I'll get out okay, get home. Because tomorrow, just impromptu, my husband and my son and I were going to drive down to Melbourne for the tennis. So I've gone up to Brisbane and then I'll be going down to, so I'll only have like a 12 hour.
I might be able to wear some knitting down there.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's meant to be hot.
Warm.
Yeah, it's meant to be pretty hot. So I'm actually going to, like, it's like 27, 28 degrees.
Melbourne can go 20 degrees one day and the next day be in the late 30s. So it's very
I'm just grateful it's not going to be like 40 because sometimes it can be over 40 degrees.
Open.
Yeah. So, so we've got tickets for, or I think we just got day passes for Saturday. Just wander around, try and find a court that's got, and my husband's knees. I think Zach and I might need to be running around looking for seats, and then he can come at the last minute. Might have to take like a little folding chair for him. And then Sunday we actually have some actual seats in Margaret Court Arena. So I have no idea who we're going to see, but. Yeah, so I've had like nothing in the holidays, not nothing, but no big plans, not doing very much. And then I went and visited my aunt, now I visited Beck, now I'm going to the tennis. So, but then, it's kind of actually exciting to have had just a bit of a break and a rest and chilling, then some fun and activity. And then I'll have another week before I go back to work at home, which will be good just to get ready for school. So a few things planned, and then you're back at work for Monday. And
back to work Monday. My kids are in New Zealand at the moment, so they're having a great time. Be good to see them when they come back.
Try the socks on.
Yeah, hopefully the socks will fit.
Yeah.
If they don't, maybe I won't do a third attempt. We'll see how we go.
At that point, you may get to like, this will fit somebody.
I might just do one. I'll finish the one off and just keep it for, I don't know, decoration.
They're gonna work. You've gone up a needle size and you're using different needles.
It was just that one section where it was that really big float. So I'm confident that it'll be okay.
Yeah. Yep. So we've got good plans coming up. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back next week. I think next Wednesday. So I'll still stick with weekly recording till the end of January, and then moving February onwards, I'll be switching to every other week. But in the meantime, holidays, So thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.